Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Writers' Corner live show. We go live every week on a Tuesday this time, as we've been doing for almost 2 years. Can't believe that it's almost 2 years since we've been doing this show. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Writers' Corner live show. I'm your host, Bridgetti Banda from Cape Town in South Africa. We'll be heading into winter, and my amazing co-host is Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Mary is the author of the Children's Poolicious book series, and she's also a special needs advocate. Mary, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. And we are headed into summer. So we are headed into 90-degree temperatures this week. It will be quite possibly hot with 90-degree temperatures. I was trying to think of, should I say torturous, scolding? I don't know, because we could have a nice breeze here. But, I think having kids, and especially when they're younger, I've kind of seen that there are themes that happen in your summers, with kids. So for us this year, and especially through all this COVID stuff, water balloons have become a favorite pastime. We did them last night. The kids want them, every day. They don't care, birthdays, something special. They want water balloons every day when it's hot. So we've blown through quite a bit of water balloons and, and had fun doing it. I actually videotaped yesterday, and we did, I think I know we've done a lot of arts and crafts. We've done a lot of experiments. And so it's such great learning tools for children, because like yesterday we did this thing with shaving cream, and it's so great for sensory, for their hands to feel and feel those textures and kind of get used to things when kids don't like that stuff, they're, oh, I don't want to touch,
Absolutely. So kids, we just love children. Most of us do have children, and especially if we've got teenagers in the house, you don't want to miss the show, especially if you've got those eye-rolling, sigh-heaving tweens living in your house, then you definitely want to meet our special author for today, Deborah Ann Davis. She's the author of a book, How to Keep Your Daughter from Slamming the Door. Now, who of us cannot possibly relate to that kind of situation when you've got a teenager in the house? We can all relate if we are parents. And Deborah is an award-winning author. She's a speaker. She's a parenting coach and a personal trainer. And with her insightful and quirky approach to life, she shares life lessons with wit and compassion in her upcoming book, How to Keep Your Daughter from Slamming the Door. So shall we invite her onto the show?
Yes.
Deborah, a hearty, warm welcome to the show. So great to have you join us. Fantastic to have you. And a warm welcome to our audience on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Periscope, on YouTube. Happy to have you here, Deborah, and so glad that you can join us. A warm welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, you're like a savior to moms. Like, I'm so excited to share you because I'm reading her book right now. Ooh. And it's important to me because I have two daughters, one that's 19, going to be 20, and one that's 16. And then I've got a son coming up. So that'll be a totally different kind of raising, because of because of their boys and girls. But I just love what you're doing because there are so many of us moms who are trying so hard and working so hard at trying to have that different, better kind of relationship than maybe we have with our own mothers, because we're more aware today than, our parents came from that generation of children are to be seen and not heard. And, they were not as involved and, that kind of thing. And we're just a different world, a different generation of parents. And I know for myself, parenting is different because of being an advocate and having kids on the spectrum. It changes who you are as a parent, but teenagers are still teenagers. personalities are still personalities and struggles are still struggles. So I know there are days I'm on my knees, begging, crying, asking for those answers because I'm like, I think I just totally failed that one, you know? And I really, I didn't want slamming doors in my house. I didn't want those, I hate you. I didn't want the child with the black paint on the wall, sitting in the corner and the just depressed. So I know for myself, a tool I used was the arts and told my kids, write it out, dance it out, sing it out. I don't care what you do. Just let's not slam doors and scream, I hate you. Okay. Let's talk about it. So, I'm glad you have like a torch leading the way for moms.
Well, thank you. I got all my skills when I was a high school teacher because the parents would come to me at the point where the daughter was not doing well in school. So it was already a problem. And before I could get them to talk to each other, I had to get them to calm down because they were like, boom, 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 boom. And we couldn't do anything academically unless we fixed that. So I had to create all these different side door entrances into the conversation that they would be able to use when they got home. And over the years, I just collected a whole bunch of them. One of the things that I tell people is that when a student is mad or a child is mad, don't get in front of them because their negative energy is going right at you. Yeah. And you feel that and you react to that. If you instead, and you're going to enjoy this because this is going to go right along with what you were saying, if you put yourself next to them and let that energy go away from both of you, then you won't be affected the same way. And how do you do that? You do a project with them. You color side by side, or you draw, you do something artsy. I'm not artsy at all. When I was teaching science, all my diagrams on the board were stick figures. Yeah, would say, what is that? It's a cat. Oh, okay. I thought it was a horse. So I am not artsy at all. But my tool of choice was nail polish. When my daughter would get snarky, I would sit down next to her with a bottle of nail polish and I'd paint my toes. That would put me not looking at her. And I'd give her a bottle of polish and we'd paint our toes and we would talk and the energy wouldn't be directed at each other. And if she turned and said something to me, I would stay down there and keep painting my toenails. And then occasionally I interrupt the conversation with, what do you think of this color? So it rerouted the energy pattern. So what you're saying about art is like the perfect fix. And when you're saying about dance it out, when I was a kid and my sisters and I would squabble, my father would say, outside, you have to run around the house 3 times.
I like your dad very much. I know. We walk the kids every night. There's a lot of littles here. So we laugh, people laugh. We walk the dog and the kids like every night that we have been able to walk. We're like, yeah, we're walking it out, people. So I love what you're saying. How is your relationship with your daughter? Do you feel like it's different? Do you feel successful at what you've applied? Because I know it's always so easy for us, and Bridgetti and I were actually just texting about this morning, to help others, because it takes it off of ourselves and then we feel like we're doing something useful because sometimes we can't fix our own stuff that's happening.
Well, I've got 3 things to say about that. One is sometimes other people can interject in a place where you can't. So there's been many times where I've called up an aunt and said to them, could you please give this message to my daughter over the years? So yeah, so there's that's why I have the Awesome Mom Tribe, because your tribe helps support you when you are parenting. The second thing is that, I'm having a virtual book launch for my book. How to keep your daughter.
Hold on, I'm going to put you on full screen for that, Deborah.
She wants everybody to see it. Love the cover. Beautiful.
And
gorgeous.
It's on June 29th from 1 to 4. And the reason why I'm mentioning it right now is because my daughter is going to be on there for about a half hour and we're going to talk.
Yeah.
And he's 30 years old now and very successful and an absolutely marvelous person, objectively speaking, of course. And we're going to talk about what it was like for her growing up with me as a mom. The thing is that I'm a high school person, and I know all about high school kids, and I know all about middle school kids, and I know instinctively at this point what to say and do to make them comfortable or draw them out. But when my daughter was a baby, I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck should I be doing now? And I've been sorting out some stuff. I just found this note I had written to myself when she was 7. It was a reminder to stop treating her like a 9th grader. I had to learn how to do this. And the thing is, as moms, we're doing on-the-job training, right? I mean, we don't have this experience from before. We're learning as we go, and we try different things, and we ask people's advice. And when things don't work, we go find another way to do it. That's what makes us awesome, because we're not supposed to be perfect. That doesn't exist. Plus, if we put up this level there about this is what perfection is, then we're communicating that, we're role modeling that for our children. And the last thing we want to do is teach our children to be perfectionists, because that is just fraught with anxiety. And then the third thing I want to say is that pretty much all the way through, I questioned whether or not I was screwing up my daughter's life. I was definitely questioning it when she was 1, and I was absolutely questioning it when she was 2. And the thing is, with all my experience as a high school person, I questioned it all the way through middle school and high school. But I was doing the things that she needed. And even though I felt insecure about whether or not I was following the right path, I did follow the right path. And we spend so much time questioning whether or not we're doing the right thing that we forget to sit back and enjoy the marvelous people our children are. You can walk your kids. It's okay to take them outside because they're happy-go-lucky, good kids, right? There are people who can't do that with their children. They can't go out with them in public because they will misbehave and the parents won't know how to handle it. And, so you're doing a good job. It's unfortunate that you have to be out of it to look back and see, wow, I did a really good job. I did a good job when she was 12. I did a good job when she was 14. I did a good job when she was 16. I didn't know it when she was 12, 14, or 16, but I can see it clear as day now. And I'm sure if you look at your younger children and look back at those years that you've been doing all this time, all this mothering with them, you'll say, wow, look at all I've accomplished.
I hope so. We let them have fits.
You can do it now. I mean, you look at your kids now, right?
Yeah.
Look at where they are. They're great people. And that's because of you.
Well,
absolutely. We should
acknowledge
that.
We should acknowledge
that.
Yeah.
There's so much truth in what you say. I mean, the fact that you've got this awesome mom tribe, when our children were growing up, we constantly reminded ourselves and them that it takes a village to raise a child. You as a parent are there to guide, but you're not the only driving force in your child's life. And you actually have to accept that, the more people that can add value into your child's life, the better they're going to come out in the end. And sometimes, and I love the way my husband used to put it because we've got 2 sons. My husband always used to say, I may think it's okay, but I'm not sure what the village is going to think of that one.
That's fabulous. I love that. That should go in a book, right? I don't know. I know what I think. Not sure what the tribe thinks. Yeah. So I know for me, I'm so comfortable with young children. It is the teenage that terrifies me. And so there's a lot I think that mothers like me can learn from you. And so it's so funny to hear you say it. And I was, I'm reading your book and read your bio. And so I knew that about you being so comfortable with teenagers, but we really need parents who are comfortable in both situations. You know, like if a mom has to work full time and she cannot do both, and there's got to be the daycare or the preschool worker who can handle that child all day. So for me, nurturing, it's just part of my nature, in the sense of just taking a little one and knowing that most of their problems can be solved fairly easy, even when you have a special needs child, if you have the correct tools to apply. But it's when they're older and they're trying to figure themselves out, and they're so uncomfortable and they don't know what's going on, and they're so frustrated and lost. And I've been having those conversations on Zoom with parents about parenting through this time, because what I have seen is the struggles my older children have gone through, and it not being spoken a lot about online or outright, about the struggles college and high school kids are having. Yes, the conversations have been about seniors graduating, but what about all the rest of the kids? My oldest has struggled tremendously with anxiety and depression through all of this. Mm-hmm. And that's not her typical route that she would go. But for me and every other parent in this situation, the hats that we wear are taller than they've ever been. They're heavier than they've ever been. They are going in directions we never imagined they would go. And because our children look to us for guidance, we have to keep ourselves up. So they go, oh, okay. So outside is crazy. Inside here, we're okay. We've got this okay world going on. We can still function. We can still live. We are not victims. We have power here in our home, and in what we have, we're safe. So I got to keep that going so that then I can go out in the world. So it's just so different right now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And when you have kids, the big thing I'd say is, this is my pet peeve anyway, but don't have the news on during the day.
Oh, yeah.
Because that whole background noise, even if they're not listening to the words, they see your reaction on your face. So that is a big tip I would give to people about trying to reduce anxiety for their kids. The other thing is, conversation is the key. Talking to them about it and letting them express how they feel is very helpful. But sometimes it can be overwhelming for them, because you're addressing something that they're really scared about, and they're not willing to discuss that because they haven't opened that Pandora's box, and they don't know what it's going to be like to actually look at that stuff. So they have complete dread initially. So what I do is I choose the side door. Instead of saying, what makes you nervous about this time, I say, what makes your best friend nervous about this time? How do you think your teachers are handling this right now? What do you think it's like for the grandparents? And the things that they will choose to discuss will actually be the things that have to do with what's alarming them. And then with those conversations, you say, well, what do you think we could say or do to your best friend that would make them feel better? And the other thing is, since the government has been saying it's going to be 2 weeks, it's going to be 6 weeks, it's going to be 2 months, it's going to be 4 months, right? We're all in this temporary mode of like, I'm just waiting for this to be over, instead of saying, whew, I got this chunk of time to do something different. So if you tell your kids, you've got this chunk of time to do something different, what would you like to do right now? Let's not worry about the future, because we can't tell what's going to happen. If you don't know if you're going back to college, or if you don't know when you're going back or how you're going back, let's not worry about that right now, because we have no control over that. And nothing we plan or any solution we come up with will manifest itself, because those people out there have to figure out what they're doing. So while they're doing that, let's just ignore that right now. And what would you like to do now? Because first of all, you've got all the kids heading for their summer vacation, right? What would you like to accomplish during that summertime? If you were going to take a gap time, like kids who are going to take time off before they go to school, what kind of learning thing could you do? They could learn a language. They could learn sign language. They could learn Braille. They could learn a craft. They could make a home business. They could do so many things that they could create focus right now. They could write a book and publish it. They could write a story about their friends, changing the names. and put it out there. They could do it a chain story between their friends where one person writes a chapter and sends it to their friend, and that person writes a second chapter and sends it to a third friend, and things like that. I mean, there's so many things they could focus on right in the here and now. And that focus will calm them. It will make them feel better. And it will make them stop living in the future and focus on the present. They could learn how to do composting. They could learn how to garden. I have little bean sprouts that I'm growing on my windowsill now. So just to see what will happen. And those can all, of course, be turned into science experiments. You know, I'm a science geek because I used to teach science. So I'm always playing with things like that. But the point is, bring them into the present day. When they say to you, what about my freshman year starting college? Say, I don't know, let's not worry about it right now, because when they figure out what happens, you and I will be right there, and we will take care of what needs to be taken care of, and you'll sail right into that successfully. Don't worry about it now. And when they say, well, I'm supposed to graduate from college next year, you say, don't worry about it now. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. So chill. What are you going to do now that is going to prepare you for the life you want in 5 years?
Those are such fantastic tools, you know, to stop worrying about the future. Because I think that's where a lot of young people and parents are coming unstuck. Because if we can hold it together as parents, our children are going to pick up on the kind of energy that we give them. You know, so as you rightly said, if we say to them, you know, this is what we can do now, and focus on that and see what other things, I mean, there's so many things that children can learn at this time, tools that they won't be learning at school, you know, life skills that they won't be learning at school, you know, how to plan shopping, how to plan meals. They're not going to learn those things at school.
How to do laundry.
Yes, we're working on all that in our house. Absolutely. I think my girls are making dinner tonight. And so that when, you know, my daughter will be a junior this year in college, so she'll have more cooking skills to her, you know, repertoire, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, my husband and I were discussing this morning and staying focused on the positive of his business and what he's doing and where's the power he has right now and what's happening for him. And the fact that, you know, well, I think I've prayed more than I ever have in my life through all of this, because there are prayers that are needed and those positive thoughts and vibrations out there and thinking all those good thoughts. But for us to be able to, we were discussing this morning, we have to stay strong and in a good place so we show them how to survive and how to get through and how to be resilient, because we don't know what their future is going to be like. But if they can see us doing it here in our home, knowing that the outside world is going nuts and we're still okay, and we're going to walk through this, and we're going to just take it one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time if we have to, and we're going to be okay, then they'll be able to have those tools when they're older, because we have no idea what their future looks like at this point. We didn't even know this all was coming.
Exactly. If I could just add one more thing, because a tendency of moms, when we think, I have to do this for my kids, it puts this extra pressure on them. So what my advice is that you would think, I need to do this for myself. I need to bring myself to a better place. I need to make myself present. I need to make myself strong for me. And then the offshoot of that is that my children will see that. But moms are so typically guilt absorbing that if you put them in the mindset of saying, I have to be strong for my kids, then that creates an anxiety for them. When you say, I'm going to center myself and be strong for me, that's an empowerment. Mm-hmm. And that is a way for you to focus on the fact that you need to take some me time, and you need to think about what would I like to do and how am I going to use this time until the unknown is over. And moms we always put ourselves last, right? Mm-hmm. Right? So what I'm saying is take that conversation, reframe it, and turn it into, I'm doing this for me because this is going to make me healthier. And by default, it will be better for them. When we do it for them, we leave ourselves out of the equation. and we have to put ourselves first.
Absolutely.
Deborah, so your book, who is it aimed for specifically?
Well, that's the interesting thing. I wrote it for moms of teens and tweens because that's my forte. But I've talked to many moms of like 5-year-olds and 7-year-olds who are going, oh my gosh, I need this. This stuff you say is so important, because there's a huge component in there about self-care and self-worth for the moms. And if I had thought about this, I would have realized that the people who are with the young people where I was insecure, they need all of these tools so that they don't become the parent of a 20-year-old and look back and say, I did fine. It was good. I didn't have to be scared and worried and anxious all that time. I was doing fine. So now I'm thinking, well, any mom who's feeling like everybody's got a clue except them, and all the other moms are handling their children better than they are. And as I would say to my husband, I think I'm the only mother in my entire state who doesn't know how to handle a 3-year-old. I mean, this book will help them also, because it's a little wake-up call about focus yourself. And when you want to talk to your kids, here's a bazillion ways that you can start the conversation.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And how did you decide? I mean, you are going to do this launch online, right? Have you ever done this before? Are you flying by the seat of your pants with this launch?
I'm totally flying by the seat of my pants. I like to say I'm building the plane while I'm flying it.
Good.
So I figure, what the heck, either it'll be a huge success or it'll be a great life lesson.
Right.
So tell us a bit, there's a lot of authors out there now that are launching their books that had the launches planned. They had their schedules ready, and then along came COVID-19 and said, okay, nada, this is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So walk us through very quickly, how did you plan your online book launch? Because there's others who want to know.
Okay. That question assumes that I'm done planning. What I'm going to tell you is where I'm at so far.
Okay.
So I would say, allow yourself at least 3 months for sorting everything out. I'm not a person who does Facebook Lives and things like that. So that whole part is a process for me. Contacting people to help me promote it, that's a big process for me. I'm a science teacher. That's not what we do. So I'm reinventing the wheel here. So first of all, I was going to do it on Zoom. This is going to be a thing of like what worked, what didn't work, what worked, what didn't work. Okay. So I started out saying, well, I'll do it on Zoom. I've been on plenty of Zoom meetings and I'm comfortable with Zoom. And then right about then, the Zoom bombing started. So I said, oh, okay, so I have to make sure they don't have Zoom bombers. So then I have to have a registration page so that they can come in. So then I had to go look up how to do a registration page, how to make it appealing. So I had to do that research. So now I have a registration page. Woo! And then I have to keep track of who comes in on the registration page. And to make sure that I send them a reminder right before the launch. Okay, then I had to make little graphic thingies so I could post them on Facebook to tell people that I was doing a book launch. What else? And I had to set up an agenda to say what I was going to do. So I broke it into 15-minute increments, and I have it. And then I've been soliciting everywhere questions that moms would like to ask. And I've been keeping a list of those. So I've got them in this little notebook, and I'm going to go through the questions one at a time while I'm doing the presentation. So I will try to get the questions referenced to whatever chapter would be helpful in the book.
That's great.
And go use the book that they're hopefully buying and get more information for that particular question. And then I may get in trouble for this one, but I'm collecting stories about my daughter. Share.
You have to change your name. Just change your name. She's Sue. I don't know.
Been protected by changing the name.
Yeah. But
Well,
is she good? Is she good with you doing that? I mean, she's
yes.
okay.
Oh no, I always get her permission. So like,
Yeah.
this whole chunk of time with pictures of her that I am absolutely positively not permitted to post at all. What she considers her awkward stage. So, you know, I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, right. I know, whatever. You're still
So
beautiful.
you do the ones when you're little and the ones when you're grown, that's fine. I'll do that. So I'm very respectful about what she wants. And when I share, she's always loved my telling stories about her because I'm a storyteller.
Mm.
That was part of my success of being a science teacher is that I tell stories, and that helps people relate what I'm discussing to their own world, which is why I can reach my audience, because I've been there, I've done that. And I also know lots of people have been there and done that differently that I can share their stories too. So I'm a storyteller, and she has always enjoyed me telling stories. Plus, you may have noticed I really like to laugh. So there's always a humorous side to everything that I share, because my daughter embarrassed me many, many, many times.
Deborah, we're out of time. Thank
We
you
have to have you
so
back.
much for
We have to have Deborah back on. 30 minutes
a
just goes
post,
too
It
fast.
was. It
a
goes.
post launch.
Yeah.
Tell us quickly, where can people find your book, and tell us if they can still join the book launch online, where they can do that.
Oh, absolutely. If you go to my website, DeborahAnnDavis.com, then it has the virtual book launching thing. You can click on that and it'll take you right to the registration page. And while you're there, there's a free book you can pick up called How to Get, it's an ebook, so all I have is this paper here, How to Get Your Happy On, which has a little science experiment in the back of it. It's about mood and music. You could do that with your, how music and media affect your mood, and you can do that with your kids.
Oh, I love it. And you know what? I wish Carson was in here with me, because he would love to meet you, because he loves science. He wants to do, we do experiments almost every day, and he loves the body. So he knows all the body parts and everything. He's 7. So he's going to be excited when I tell him I talked to a scientist today. Tell everybody about your Facebook group too, for moms who would like to join your Facebook group.
Yes, it's called the Mom Meetup Raising Confident Girls. And I also have another one called Life Advice 101 for people who aren't moms. But the Mom Meetup group is an interactive group. So if you're coming in there waiting for me to talk to you, don't do that. I'm in there all the time and I talk to people, but they are also talking to each other, because moms have experience. So the purpose of that group is for them to help each other and build their tribe. So that's on Facebook. Thank you.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really great to have had you on the show. And everyone, please go and check out Deborah's website and join the group and sign up for the book launch and get the book online.
There you go.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll see you back again, same time next week on the Writer's Corner live show.